Okay, just giving you a quick video on the second half of that section that we just did. I'm looking at the homework questions, so I'm actually going to look at number 16 and 20, so there's one of each. So looking at number 16, it says write the equation in standard form. This is the center, this is a point on the circle. I always draw these things out, just giving me a little bit of a rough draft of what we're going to be working with. So if I draw this out, I got a point about here. I got a point about here. This is my center. This is -10, -4. This is my point on the circle for -2. This is the center. I'm just going to draw this right around here. Okay, so we have to write the equation in standard form. So that requires two things. It requires the center and the radius. We already have the center. So technically, I can already write x, use the opposite sign, so +10 squared plus y, opposite sign, squared equals, we don't have a radius squared, so I'm just gonna go with that. Let me connect these. Looking at that, what you actually do have is that length would be the radius. We just don't have it yet. So we want to find that length. There's a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to use a distance formula to find it, because if I have this point and this point, if I plug it into distance formula, it gives me the length between them. So this is a little bit of a throwback to distance formula. Big square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And I'm going to label my 2 points. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm just going to plug it in. So distance equals the big square root of x2. So that's 4 minus, this is a negative, so let's put that in an extra set of parentheses. 4 minus -10 squared. And I have y2, so -2 yet again. I'm going to throw an extra set of parentheses in there. Minus y1, which is -4 squared. Okay, so let's simplify real quick. Distance equals big square root. So this ends up being a plus, so it's 14 squared plus. This would be a plus, so it's 4 plus -2. So 4 minus 2 is 2 squared. I have distance equals, we already know this in our head, that's 196 plus 4. I get distance equals the square root of 200. Let me see what that actually means. That's my radius. That's the distance between here. So currently I have the radius is equal to the square root of 200. I want to go back in my formula that I've created already and plug that in. So I have x plus 10 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals radius. So that's the square root of 200 squared. We know square root and squares will cancel out their opposites. So I'm just going to cross that out. And I get my final answer of x plus 10 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 200. And that's my equation. Number 20 is super similar. It's just a little deceptive. So looking at number 20, what we have is write the equation in standard form given the endpoints of a diameter. The important thing here is that they use the word diameter. That way we know that for it to be a diameter, it has to go through the center of a circle. So I'm going to just real quick rough sketch this. I'm going to have a point somewhere down here. I'm going to have a point somewhere down here. Those are the endpoints of the circle. Endpoints of the diameter. Sorry about that. Okay? So there's got to be something like this where when you connect the two of them, there's a center there. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with, I get it. I have -15, 9, and 13, -1, but I don't have either the center or the radius. First thing I'm going to do is find the center. It'll bring me to a point where I'm at least pretty much identical back or to that last problem that we did. So how do you find the center given the endpoints? There's two different ways. You can use partition of a segment where you go 1/2 of the way, but I'm just going to use midpoint formula. It's the easiest here. So I'm going to have midpoint, and this is just the averages of the x's, the averages of the y's. And it's a point. Let me go through. The 2 points that I need to use is these. So I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to fill in. So I get midpoint equals x1 is -15 plus 13 over 2, comma, 9 plus -1 over 2. Let's simplify inside. Don't lose those parentheses. It's a point. So we get here -2 over 2. Here we get 8 over 2. We're almost done. Midpoint is equal to -1, 4. So thinking just generally, what does that actually mean for me? That was the midpoint, that's this point. What is this in terms of the actual problem? This is going to be the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to just stop here, but show you what you should do next. In this last problem that we had, you had the center and a point on the circle. Here, you have the center and 2 points on the circle. So all I'm going to do is cover up one of those endpoints and do the exact same process that you just did in the last problem. So here, I would start by writing out, okay, it's x plus 1 squared, y minus 4 squared equals radius squared. Use this point and this point. You could have used the other two. I just thought these were easier numbers. Use the 2 points, -1, 4, and 13, -1. Start your x1, y1, x2, y2. Find the distance and plug it back in. So that's the exact same thing that we just did at the end of that last problem. So that's how to do the 2 problems on the back. You might have to modify it a little bit for the ones that asked for circumference and area on the notes. That you just took the radius and plugged in extra stuff. So that's how to do these. Good luck.